Hi, Didi.
Hi, Brianna. It is a very special, I wouldn't say segment, but I think that's what it's called. It's only special because I was in charge of talking points today.
You really are.
Yes, but hi, everyone. Thank you for coming back and listening to us after our first episode that we dropped 2 weeks ago. We got a good amount of views and listeners on that, and we are so happy about that. We were literally texting each other back and forth, like, did you see how many views? Did you see how many? We were so excited. So, thank you all for listening the first time, and thank you for coming back for a second episode. So Brianna, how have you been these past 2 weeks since we dropped the first episode?
I've been good. Just a little bit of changes. I'm working on transferring schools right now.
Where are you going? You didn't tell me that.
Yes, I did. I told you I was gonna transfer and go for music education.
Oh, so we're
Oh my God, you don't listen.
no, I do listen. I just forgot because I am Dee
hmm
Dee. So how is that going? Is it a smooth process? Is it a rough process?
I'm working on it, and then I writing a essay is optional, but I'm gonna do that anyway.
Mhm.
And I think I have to audition, which is not fun, but
I think you got it. You got it in the bag because you're very talented and you're Brianna. So,
Mm. So what's going on with you?
um, nothing much. Well, actually, two things have happened since we dropped our first episode, and they're very big. I did my first job. I was a camp counselor at an African Heritage and Culture camp. Literally, even though I'm not really good with small children, it was the best week. Like, so good. I learned so much. It helped me like grow in my future educator skills. Like, it helped me with leadership skills too. So that was so good. And on top of that, there was the remember I had texted you about a certain issue where I felt unappreciated and everything like that, and I was like praying for a job where I felt appreciated that went with like my career path. And then I got the email for a summer job that I start next week, and is going to help me even more with like education skills and everything like that. So I have that coming up. So I've been prepping for that for the past 2 weeks, and I don't know, I just feel more at peace. I'm working on continuing like my confidence and things like that. So I'm just working on self
Mm-hmm.
a
Yeah,
lot.
me too.
Yeah, it wasn't isn't it called like building the whole self or something? Like there's a specific like phrase that people use whenever they talk about like working on like yourself.
I don't know.
I don't know. But it's like it's there, but it'll probably come out later in the middle of us talking. I'll be like, oh, it's this. So
Right.
but yes, you know what last week was?
What was last week?
I don't know if it was international, if it was national, but it was Best Friends
Yeah.
Day. Yeah, it
You
was.
actually remembered before me.
I remember before you this time.
Yeah, I didn't say anything to you until you said something.
I didn't say anything to you until I saw it on Snapchat. Because somebody had posted there and they were like, Happy BSF Day. I said, that's today. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, let me send her a little Happy National Best Friends Day.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then on top of that, you know what I'm so happy about? For like the longest time period, you were the only person that I sent that to. But this year I was able to send that to like 5 other people. So that made me feel so good about myself because it's always been hard for me to find really good friends. I mean, there's always been you, but like we live so far away. So like just having each other was like, I'm not going to say it wasn't healthy, but it kind of wasn't healthy because if we were like constantly communicate through a screen and not went out and like had other friends to do stuff with,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be good on our mental health. So like the fact that I was able to find some other really good friends is so big to me. And I was able to send them little paragraphs and like things like that and post them. So that was loved that. How did you feel about, were you
For
able to?
friends, like, of course, you're my best friend. We share another best friend, Devin. And then
Yes.
I have my friend from school, Emma, who the baby calls, well, if she could talk, she would call her Auntie Emma. So yeah, I think like y'all are like the people I know I'm gonna be friends with for the rest of my life.
Yes. Oh, stop. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
That's so good. And then like I also think like it's really important for people to develop healthy relationships.
Mhm.
And a lot of times there's like this misconception behind the word relationship because when you hear it, you automatically think couple.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But like for the past 2 years, it's been open to me. Well, open,
Yeah. I
yeah, to
understand.
me that like relationships is anyone that you have a bond with. And
Right.
so that could be a couple, but it can also mean friendships or like family relationship, family ties, things like that. So I feel like the fact that I was able to find other good friends that actually like care about me for me and things like that, I think it's really good. And it's been really good on my mental health too.
Mhm.
Because for so long, I'm not gonna lie, like after you had the baby, I did feel bad like texting you and stuff because I'm like, girl, she has so many other things going on. Like, just keep it to yourself. Do not put added stress on her to give you advice. And then I got other good friends. So
Yeah.
that was really good because it like they allowed me to be able to be more open with my emotions because I'm a very I don't know how to describe it, but I wouldn't say I was heartless, but that's
I
the best
understand.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best word that I can put it. So like they've helped me better like understand human interaction and being like that it's okay to be vulnerable to
Mhm.
people. And so that's really good too. And they've also helped me develop better coping mechanisms and everything like that. So that's been really important for the past 6 months in
Mhm.
my life because before like the first half of like the school year, I had friends, but it wasn't like good. You know what I'm saying? Like the relationships weren't like strong or tightly bonded. And that's why like I was on campus. Then after 2 months, I ended up coming back home for the rest of the school year because I was like, I literally cannot like do this by myself. Like I need people. And then that's when I was sent people in
Oh,
addition to us. And then all my friends are now some of your friends too. So that's
yeah.
so good.
That
Ah,
is.
shout out to Savannah.
Hi, Savannah.
Hi, Savannah. If you're listening, you are greatly appreciated. All the other friends, you don't really know Brianna like that, so it's
I
not.
know.
I mean, besides
I've
Camila, but
seen them on FaceTime. That's about it.
yeah, that's all that matters. But
I
yeah,
think I
like
agree with you about relationships though. Like, the end of sophomore year, I took this class called interpersonal communication, which actually I'm glad that it took place instead of public speaking
mhm,
because it actually helped me understand things that were actually like going on in my life.
yeah,
And especially since I'm a mom now, it was helping me understand like ways that I can talk to my daughter when she's older,
yes.
and just how to treat people in a relationship.
That's so good. I feel like that's a skill that everybody needs because not a lot of people know how to treat people in a relationship. Like not sitting here and saying like I'm the best at it. But there I have come in contact with some people that literally do not know how to talk to people at
Right.
all. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought I was bad, but yo,
Honestly,
stay out of my energy. Like it's not good. It's
I
you can
have lately, this is something I actually wanted to say today, and I'm glad I remembered it, that I've had to learn that, like, me critiquing myself, I realized that I was treating particularly one person in my life a certain way, and that was kind of bad, like really bad. And I was like, wait, I'm treating this person like this because I think that they won't leave me. Like, I think that they're not going to go anywhere, like I'm always going to have them. But it's different when you're dealing with somebody who's not a blood relative, who can't
yeah,
get away from you. Like, you realize, like, oh, if I don't stop doing this, this person is going to like move on, and
yeah,
I obviously love them, so I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm going to change.
yeah,
I think that's important to realize too about other people in your life. You're like, this person's treating me like this because they think I'm never going to move on from them. And then you're going to have to take that opportunity to do that. That way, that person can realize, oh, like they're not, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but they're,
irreplaceable.
yeah,
Yeah, in a sense.
like people are temporary.
Yeah, that's true. And like bouncing off what you were saying, I did have two situations like that where both people, well they I had to cut them off at two different times, but
Mhm.
both people were like talking to me and treating me like I was gonna be there forever and that I was gonna have they were gonna have me forever. And then when like one day when I was just like, I'm done,
Mhm.
they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like they didn't know what to do. And like I'm thankful that I was able to just walk away because it was so damaging on me and it was straining on me
Hmm.
to have them in my life. And since I haven't, I've been a very peaceful person sometimes. And but like it's better than what it was before, even in my bad days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely
So
understand.
yeah. So like just being able to like cut those people off, like even if you are in a situation where you have a friend that's talking to you reckless or an associate or whoever is in your life that is talking to you reckless and you feel like, well, maybe I should just stick it out, it'll get better. I'm telling you that sometimes the best option is to completely cut yourself off from that person. And
Mhm.
even if you want to be friends with them in the future, cut yourself off and give them time to reflect on what they did to make like you want to leave them. And that was even in a book that I read this semester for my African American women class. Like she the artist, not artist,
The author?
yes, she her like she said she had an experience where she was that friend that talked to everybody else reckless and they were just like no, and they cut her off, and she said that gave her time to reflect on herself and understand like what how she was talking to them was not okay, how she was treating them was not okay. And she went back, I think this was like 2 years later when she went back and she was like, y'all, I'm so sorry, like I've changed, can you still accept me as a friend? And they were like, yeah, but you got to show us that you changed first. You know what I'm saying? So even if those people want to come back into your life, make sure you have them show you that
Mhm.
they've changed, because a lot of people can just lie and then be the exact same. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Also, like boundaries. Like people make boundaries not to cut you out of their life. If they have enough patience to set boundaries, it means that they still want to have a relationship with you, and they want you and they want themselves to respect each other's boundaries.
yes,
That way, like, y'all are not clashing, things are not, because some people you don't need to get that person with.
no,
But
yes.
yeah, boundaries.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from that, because there was an issue at the beginning of this year. Do you remember where a friend wasn't respecting me?
Yeah.
And then you were like, you just need to set boundaries with this person, because cutting them off, because you even told me you were like, cutting them off might not be the best option, but just set boundaries. And I
Mhm.
was like, I've never done
I
that
said that.
before.
I don't remember that.
You remember that or you don't?
I don't. I said that.
Yes, you did say that.
Smart. I'm smart.
So I even texted, because they literally whenever I, because at first I was just gonna cut them completely off.
Hmm.
And then I was like, yeah, because I'm not doing this anymore. You were like, just set boundaries. You and my mom said the same thing. And that's why I did it. And they were like, just set boundaries. So, and this person, like, they were like, they did not want the friendship to die or anything. They were like, bro, please, like, I'm so sorry. I was like, okay, I understand you're sorry, but from this point on out, this is what's going to have to happen. And
Hmm.
it's been going pretty smooth since then. You know what I'm saying? So like I said earlier, sometimes the best option is, but the other sometimes the best option isn't. Just make sure you set boundaries and
Yeah.
you like accurately let them know, hey, like what you do makes me uncomfortable. Hey, sometimes like you're a little out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like just be sure to like communicate and let them know what they're doing. And if you try to set boundaries and they're like, bro, I'm not doing that, then yeah, sometimes you just got to say, okay, well, if you don't respect me, like coming to you as a person, letting you know like what you do bothers me, then it's not the best option for us to be together or in a friendship or in a relationship or anything right now.
Yeah. I also realized like I'm setting boundaries for other people, but am I listening to what they said? Like
Yes.
someone may tell me like, I know you didn't mean it like that, but that made me uncomfortable. And I have to be like, wow, like number one, like I'm capable of hurting somebody, but
Mhm.
I'm also capable of respecting them and trying not to hurt them.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's good too. I need to assess myself in that, because I don't remember if they set boundaries with me, but I should probably go back and talk to them about that so that way I can respect
Them.
they say. Yeah, because sometimes a situation could be two-sided, but the
Hmm.
second, like the party that you're blaming doesn't necessarily speak up.
Yeah.
So you just reminded me. Now I'm gonna go back and ask that person. Like, yeah. So that way I can be like understanding, like they're respecting the boundaries that I set. I want to be able to do the same. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure there are some things that I do that irritate people.
Not to use the word toxic because I feel like that's such an overused word, but like sometimes you have to be like, am I the toxic person? And if you are, just change it. Like, of
Yeah.
course, not everyone has the ability to just change, but
Sometimes it's your personality. Like
yeah.
scientifically proven after a certain age, that's just your personality. It's no longer like a something that you can change.
Yeah,
But
but I know
sometimes,
the first step that I know I'm going in the right direction is me realizing that the problem is probably me. And
yeah,
when I do that, I'm okay, I can change that.
yeah.
That
Like
means I'm
yesterday,
headed in the right direction.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
But like yesterday when I had texted you and I was like, sometimes like, and if y'all are watching this, just understand like there's no harm behind it. I was like, but sometimes my friends just piss me off.
hmm
And then I was like, but I'm pretty sure it's me. And you were like, no, I don't think it is. And then after assessing, like it's literally just small things. Like whenever they fart, it makes me mad. But like that's not
Oh my God.
like that's not like anything. That's literally just a me thing. But like it's
You're so weird.
but no, but it's just like it's like small things that I like it's just a problem with me. It's not just them. Like when my mom farts, it makes me mad. So that's how I know it's a me thing. Like it's just something I gotta work on. Just be like, Didi, it's a bodily function. People are going to fart. And I'm being like, I'm not even trying to joke with y'all. When people fart, it does make me mad.
I just remember I used to fart on the phone and move the phone closer so you could hear.
Yes. And that used to make me so mad. Like, bro, come on, like, stop doing that. And then people, when they show me their feet, it makes me mad.
Oh my God, you don't even like baby feet.
I don't. Alana's feet makes me so upset. Like, I'll be laughing, but I'm like, get those feet out of my face. But like, it's just small things like that. Like, that
Mm,
like I know it's like a me thing that I can work on. But other than that, there have been issues in the past where like I was like, bro, like this isn't like a small thing that I know I can fix. Like I'm actually irritated. And I need to work on like vocalizing that because like the first episode I said I don't like conflict.
hmm
But like when it comes to like friendships and stuff like that your friends do that make you a little bit irritated, I don't know if that also goes with setting boundaries because if it's something that they're accustomed to and like it's just a small thing, I don't know if like I could be like, don't do that because I feel like that's rude, especially if it's a part of their personality. You know what I'm saying? So like I guess I could just vocalize and be like, that makes me uncomfortable. Like I'm not gonna let you know to like stop it completely.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna just let you know, like if you do continue, like sometimes like when you do it, if I like walk off a little bit, I'm just trying to cool myself down because I understand that like that's how you are, and I just got to get accustomed to that and used to that because sometimes like in a friend group, there's so many different personalities where you can't just tell everybody to stop being themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
I think a little conflict in a healthy way is necessary because you're gonna have to talk about stuff to get to know each other and
Okay.
to be able to work around each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good advice that I kind of sort
Because
of need.
if you don't talk about anything, you two like say it's two people instead of a group of people, you're gonna think like I'm gonna think that's the most terrible person on the planet, and they're gonna think I'm the most terrible person on the planet because we never talked about anything and we never had that conflict.
So you got to talk it out. Okay, that's a great piece. That's a great piece of advice
Yeah.
that I was giving to these little kids last week, but I'm not even taking it myself. So thank you for reiterating that.
Honestly, I'm remembering so much stuff from my class, and it's really cool. I
As
love that class. That was the only class where I would take notes and actually watch a lecture. Who's
Oh, it's
calling
just Camila.
us?
It's Camila.
Oh.
It's just Camila.
But that's the only class like I would sit through and watch a full lecture. I can't hear
So
you.
going
Oh,
by.
okay.
I had rain sounds going earlier, and I forgot
Oh
to
my
exit
goodness.
out. I'm not. I'm just going through it for the past 2 minutes. Okay, but that was. I think that was the end of the interruptions.
Okay.
I have my computer on do not disturb, and then I turned off the radio. So,
So what
but
else did you want to talk about, Dee Dee?
there's like this other podcast that I used to watch. I don't watch it anymore, and I kind of feel bad, but I don't. But like they were like, "What's one piece of advice that's helped you?" And that's kind of where I got this next like question from. It's like a piece of advice that has helped you so far, like whether it's in college, whether it's in life, whether it's just in like your music career or anything, just one piece of advice that you can remember
Okay.
that has helped you.
So I told you, I think it was like a day or two ago, that I
Mhm.
told you like I was really having trouble when I saw that you made this a point. Because I was like, people give me advice all the time, but do I retain it? No, not all the time. Because I don't like to listen. But
Yeah.
when I do listen, I listen. So I was thinking about this time. I also want to like get out of the way the fact that it shouldn't be embarrassing to get therapy or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it should be completely normalized. So for a little bit, I was using like Talkspace, I think, the app, and the therapist I was speaking to said just remember that that person's what that person says is what they're feeling and they're projecting onto you. It's not your feelings. It's not how you feel about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone's telling you all these terrible things about yourself and you're starting to think like, oh, maybe it is true, maybe it is, and it's really affecting your mental health. For me, I have very vivid dreams. So like if I think about something before bed, like I would get like terrible dreams, just wake up in the worst mood. I had to remember like that's what that person thinks about themselves and
Yeah.
they're putting it onto me. So I need to remember that I need to be sure in who I am and so that their words can just bounce off me. And so I can be happy and I can stop just thinking about myself in a terrible way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. I like that. I should probably start taking that into because there's so many nights where like I do stay up thinking
Mhm.
about like what other people said to me, no matter the age. Because there was like a situation last week when a little middle school kid, I don't know what they said, I don't remember what they said, but like it kept me up and I was like, dang, do people really think this way about me? And then I had to stop and be like, girl,
Wow.
you're thinking about what a child said to you. Like you are 20 years old. But like sometimes that there are those like situations where like even little kids, like the stuff that they say can get to you and you just got to understand that like but like I found out towards the end of the week that the little boy was having like he had anger issues, he was having some issues like from the kids at the camp bullying him. So like you said, like I got to understand that like sometimes it's coming from a place where they like how they feel about themselves and they say it out loud but they just add another name to it to like make themselves feel better about it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep that now because I was like, dang, this little kid really feel this way about me. But now I understand that like that's how he felt about himself.
Mhm.
And he was already upset and angry. So I just don't take it to heart. And that was good. I liked yours. No, I
Yeah.
like yours.
So what's yours?
Man, I think my best piece of advice that like I have heard so far is
Mhm.
that sometimes growing up like in a predominantly opinionated household, you grow into those opinions, but that it is okay for yourself. And that is like that's been so big to me because there was a friend of mine. I don't know if I should shout her out, but she'll probably appreciate it. Hannah. And she grew up in like a very conservative household. And Hannah's like a liberal, you know what I'm saying? Like she's
Yeah.
the complete opposite of what her parents stand for. And she's always been vocal about that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Even in school, girl, she was telling
Yes,
them
I
teachers,
remember.
letting them teachers at Northern Christian know how she felt. And every single time her parents try to like come at her in a certain way, she was like, no, like I believe what I believe and I'm not changing it just because you all raised me a certain way. Like it's allowed me to go out and think for myself. And
Yeah.
so like just watching her, I was just like, man, that girl is inspirational. So like it'll because I there was always little things that like that were said growing up that I was like, I don't really know if I agree with that. But because I was raised a certain way,
Mhm.
I was like, well, because my parents think it, then it's got to be right. But sometimes, like, we got to get out of that mindset and start thinking for ourselves. And not saying like the way my parents raised me is bad. I'm not saying that at all.
Mhm.
But sometimes, like, when you grow up, you start finding things out for yourself and you start finding certain opinions for yourself. And that's why, like, I don't want to say like I'm different politically from my parents, but I most definitely am different politically from my brother and a little bit from my mom. My dad, he doesn't really talk about politics that much anymore, so I don't really know about him. But like, I guess my piece of advice is like, it's okay to think for yourself. Like,
Yeah,
make
I
sure, like,
understand
you're right, because unless, okay, pause. I'm not trying to like contradict what I just said, but
that.
unless what you are thinking goes against like, um, oh, what am I trying to say here?
Like
Unless it's not,
morals.
unless it's not humane,
Yeah,
then maybe we should reiterate and we should rethink, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, just make sure like it's okay to think for yourself regardless.
yeah.
But just make sure it's humane. Like if
I
you're
think it's
thinking
like,
that
oh, sorry.
it's okay to like murder people, okay.
No.
All right. All right, now we're pushing it. Like murder human beings.
Yeah,
I wanted to, you know what I'm murder grown people
yeah.
and kids that are born.
I
That's
I think that if you're like heavily questioning something that you were taught, like me and you went to the same school,
yeah.
and then after we both left, we were not even after, it was sophomore
Oh, we were
year.
there.
It was sophomore year. We were like, wait, this
Yeah,
doesn't sound right.
not at
And if
all.
something truly doesn't sound right to you, then and you're heavily questioning it, then I think you need to do research for yourself and try to understand it
Yeah,
and make your own, not assumptions, but make your own beliefs based
yeah,
on what you've researched. Make sure you research. Don't
yeah,
just say, I believe this because, of course, like,
yeah. Because like there's even an NF song. You know, you remember who NF is?
yeah.
He was like, he said, think your own thoughts, don't let people think them for you.
Hmm.
And when he said that, I was like, hold on, Nate Florensteen, just might be honest. He's like, the first time I heard that was when we were at North Hardin Christian. And I
Hmm.
was like, hold on, I think this is a sign because you know what we were taught love through hate.
Exactly.
And that really like seeing like how our classmates were and like some of them are like heavy like into drugs, some of them are like completely opposite of like what North Hardin Christian taught. Like I was sitting there like I think it was 2 months ago when I was talking to Mr. Harden, and I was just like, bro, like there's so many of our classmates. And I was like, what went wrong? Like, what happened? I was like, I know the school was bad, but I was like, dang,
Yeah.
what happened? And then it was spoke to me, and like, okay, I don't know if I'm just gonna put this one out there. I'm still a Christian, a little, no, not a little bit. I'm still a Christian, and so like it was spoke through me, and God was like, it's because they tried to teach love through so much hatred.
Hmm.
And I was like, define the hatred because I just heard ignorance. But he was like, no, like they were like, there was a lot of racism and
Yeah.
racism stems through hatred of another race simply because they exist. And he was like that they were trying to teach love but hating black people. They were trying to teach love but hating gay people and saying that they were going to hell every 5 minutes. They were trying to teach love, but they were so Islamophobic. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yes. There was even a Muslim in our that we went to school with, and every single time they're like Muslims are going to hell, and I just looked over
Yeah.
and I
And
just
they
saw,
were like, yeah, no offense to you. No,
yeah,
that's very offensive
because I just
because
saw the way like
that person believes in God, just not
yes,
the way you believe in God.
yes, and like every single time they said that, I would just look over and I would just see him, and you could just like
Hmm.
tell how much that hurt him every single time they said that. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, dang, like after like reflecting on that, I was like, they really did try to teach love through hate. And that's why so many people that went to that school ended up rejecting the beliefs. And they were like, we don't know what went wrong.
Yeah, because not, I'm not saying like me and you are superior,
Yeah.
um, or like our other friends who are on the same track as us, but some people, once they're taught something for so long, they'll go in a spiral, like
Yeah.
a spiral down because they're like, everything that I was taught is not real, is broken,
Yeah.
like my whole life is messing up because of the things I was taught.
Yeah.
So some people can't handle that pressure to
Oh.
have to build all that back up that was torn down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, that was just a fever dream. That's what Camila calls it. She calls that whole entire school experience a fever dream because she says
That
there's
was
no way that was real.
crazy. And I went to a Christian school before that school, but I had never experienced racism until I went to that school.
Yeah, that was so bad. Like the amount of times I heard it with the hard R.
Yeah.
Absurd. And then on top of that, they were the same. You know what really like got to me?
Hmm.
Every single time they were like, "Can I have the N-word pass?" Or like they would make. I remember one time they made a joke to Solomon. They were like, "Whenever you run, make sure you take off your shirt because it's an African intimidation tactic," and like wave it around and go. Ee. He was the same person that sat there and gave us a devotion in front of everybody and said, "You all are hypocrites." And I was like, "I'll be damned." And this boy
Wait,
that has,
it
you
was
know, you're,
it?
yes, I'm gonna wait for you because I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. When he gave a devotion in front of the whole school, and he was like, "You all, some of you all in here are hypocrites. You say one thing and then you go and do the other thing, and that's not of God." And I was listening.
There's only one student I remember doing a devotion, so I think I know who you're talking about.
Yes, it was a man, a male.
Someone's older brother.
Yes.
Okay.
And there was so many times when I've heard him say like speak so ill of
Hmm.
so many different lifestyles, and I was just like, I'm a hypocrite. I'll be damned if I let this
And
call
you
me
know, some of the ones, some of the you'll know who I'm talking about, but the older kids who were like older than us, graduated before us, who
the
were
year
like
before us.
no, not the year before, but some of them who were super conservative. Um, I know I had my baby at 19. I'm still not married, so
I know exactly who you're
yeah.
talking about.
But the ones who got married
Mm-hmm.
and then a baby popped out 2 months later, I don't think the math is mathing
No, the math is not adding up.
because they was judging people who used to do that.
Yep.
Now they're in this situation.
Same boat. And they're still judging. Because I
Hmm.
know you seen that Twitter, that not
Hmm.
Twitter, that Instagram beef. I was like, all right, because now y'all look slow. There was just, bro, there's just so many things that happened at NHC that just made me go. There
Yeah,
was only two people, like two teachers that I genuinely respected, and
yeah.
that was Mr. Harden and Mr. D.
Yes, exactly. Me too.
That's it. Because like I remember specifically there was an issue where I used to like, I don't know, I used to have troubles listening to like non-Christian music because I always felt like I was going to go to hell.
Yeah.
And like that was just like I even told Mr. D that. And then he was just like, "It's okay, blah blah blah." Like he talked to me like, you know, like you should, like in love, like just understanding and listening and providing like advice for me. You know what I'm saying? And I respected him for that. And you know, sometimes whenever like people come to you with something and it might be too heavy on you, you'll probably go to somebody else that you respect and be like, "Hey, so and so told me this and I gave them this advice. Was that the best thing to do?" You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure that's probably what happened in that situation. But remember, I think it was 2 days later or the day after I had this conversation with Mr. D, we were in Mr. Keller's class. And I don't think I was having a good day that day at all. And I was just sitting on the opposite side of my room of the classroom, and he was at his desk. And somebody asked him to put on Shane and Shane. I remember this so specifically. And he
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, Dewena, you should probably listen to Shane and Shane since you have so much troubles listening to Christian music." And
I remember that.
I was like, whoa. Like I really got like, I was like, I literally was so, I don't even like I couldn't even do anything. Like I was so taken aback because I was like, the only other person that knew of that was Mr. D. And I knew Mr. D didn't go back and say it out of ill will, you know what I'm saying? But like when Keller said it, I was just like, wow, like you really sat here and like after I accurately displayed like what was going on in my life and how I had conviction from it to somebody else, and they probably came to you with no ill intent at all to let you know like what they were dealing through and asking like, was that the good advice or whatever that happened, and
Mhm.
you're gonna come back and try to throw it in my face. You're a grown-ass man and I'm 15 years old. Are
Right.
you kidding me? Like I was literally like, what? But then what the best thing about it was like 2 days later was when we were in the computer lab and Mr. Harden came up to me and he put his hand on my back. He said, "I just want to let you know that I understand like you're struggling in your walk." He was like, "But I'm so proud of you." And he said he was proud of you too. I don't think I ever told you that. He said, "I'm so proud of you and Brianna. Y'all keep up the good work." And he
Oh
just walked
wow.
away. And I was like, stop, because I cry right now because Mr.
Right.
K got this 1-2 combination. You know what I'm saying?
Everything that man said just made me want to cry.
I know what I'm saying. Mr. Harden is literally the best person ever. But like, just you know what I'm saying? Like, there was just small situations where like people would actually come to those teachers with serious situations, you know, that they were dealing with. Because I've seen so many times where so many girls were like pulling teachers to the side and were like, I'm dealing with this. Can you sit down and talk to me? And they were doing that. But then next thing you know, when it was the Salem witch trials and Sister Girl got exposed for something, next thing you know, man got up in front of the church and it just put everybody's business out there and said, y'all are going to hell. Like, you can't do that. And you wonder why so many people walked away from that school
Mm-hmm. I'm
hating.
pretty sure after that year, all of our parents pulled us out.
Yes, because I'm so glad, because enough was enough. You know what I'm saying? And like things like that, like it really turned a lot of people away. And I'm like, I wouldn't blame them.
When they used to grab people up in chapel.
Yes. Like when I tell you, we were in a cult.
Yeah.
And
And it
kids were
was
not allowed.
mostly black male students that they would do that to.
Yes, 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 yes. And it was, bro, it was like we were brainwashed from culture. We were
Mm-hmm.
brainwashed from everything. If it wasn't white, it was not right. And
Exactly.
that's like, that was, so the fact to see Hannah through all that, sit
Yeah.
there and say, I understand what y'all are saying, but because of what I'm seeing, I now believe a different thing. Like, she was able to think her own thoughts. Like, she had an opinion of her, like, for herself. And I was just I was like, damn, I want to be like you when I grow up.
And she's younger than us.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's literally like such an inspiration and through her, I don't know if she'll ever know this. If she, I might just tell her to watch this podcast so she can understand.
Honestly, yeah.
Yes, because like she really taught me to like think for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's been like so big and huge for me, because through my decision of coming back home instead of staying in San Francisco, that was a thought I had to I had to think that for myself, and I had to act on it myself, because my mom was like, girl, you going back to school? And I was like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staying here, and I'm gonna figure it out here. And through that, like, so many doors have opened, you know what I'm saying? So think, especially if you're like Brianna said, if you're questioning something, think for yourself, research for yourself, create an opinion for yourself, and act on that. Unless, like I said earlier, it is
It is
in
morally wrong.
like, if it's, yeah. But yeah, that is my piece of advice that has helped me so far.
I
Even though
like how ours meshed well.
yes. And
Yeah.
then we went on a little bender.
We did.
But granted, we're only 20 years old and we've only been an adult for 2 years, but what is a piece of advice that you would give to your 18-year-old self?
Okay, so let's see. 18 was a crazy year. Not even like I did crazy things, like things in my life were just crazy at that time. And advice that I would give myself is honestly like, I guess like live a little. Like I was in a relationship earlier that year that I was 18 that was really bad, and I'm so glad God took that out of my life. Um College started, and honestly I was like down in the dumps for a little bit, so I would like stay in my dorm. I didn't want to go anywhere. I went to like a party or two. Not saying like, because I don't even really party like that. I never did. That's why I don't have a problem with not being able to do it now. But I think like if you want to go out with your friends, go out with your friends. If you want to go out alone, like you have no idea how much happiness it brought me just to be able to walk to Barnes and Noble, get a coffee and walk around and look at the books. Like, especially having that independence. If you have that independence, just do the little things that make you happy. Like, romanticize your life. Just do it. Because I promise you, it'll make you so much happier than if you just go buy the book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That was
Yeah.
good. For me, I don't know. I think there's two, but I don't really care about the second one for real. Actually, no. The second one is pretty important. So is it okay if I say two?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one would be slow down,
Mm-hmm.
because 18-year-old Dee, she was so broken, she was so hurt, and she was so ready to get the ASAP. Like, I was so I was so ready to get out of this state and just go as far away as possible. Like, when I tell you, 18-year-old Dee was looking at colleges in Rome. She was looking at colleges in Hawaii. She was looking at colleges everywhere. I was like, if it is a state that is touching Kentucky, and it is, if it's in a state that is touching a state that's touching Kentucky, I do not want to be there. Like, I was literally in such a rush to get out of here that it ended up breaking me
Right.
really bad. Like, I ended up going to, like I mentioned earlier, I was in San Francisco, but I ended up going to the University of San Francisco, and my depression got so bad because I was just so ready to speed up and get out of Kentucky. I went, the farthest place that I could go was the Bay Area, and I literally hated life. Like, because I moved too fast, I ended up, the only scholarship I can get was through ROTC. And like, I'm not very vocal about this, but I don't really support the military. So the fact that I had an ROTC scholarship, I
Yeah.
hated it because I was like, bro,
Just so everybody knows, like, oh, just so everybody knows, like, we're not saying like
yeah,
people in the military are bad or
yeah.
people who have served are bad. That's not it.
I'm just saying it's not for
Not the
me.
government.
Yeah, I personally don't. I Dewena Dale Nance Pittman do
Yeah.
not personally agree with the military, but
Yeah.
do I still benefit from it?
Yes.
Yeah. Both of our parents served, so we just
Yeah.
wanted to put that out there. And like I said, I'm not very vocal about it, but since, you know, my first piece of advice was to think your own thoughts, I am now thinking it and I am speaking it. I do not technically personally agree with military, so the fact that the only scholarship I had was an Army ROTC scholarship,
Yeah.
literally I had to get up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I remember.
Like, literally, it was so bad, but because like I rushed everything ready to get out of here, I made like I personally feel like I made everything so like bad on myself when I should have just slowed down and think about the best possible options for me. Like, I couldn't even, the major that I wanted to be in because of ROTC, I couldn't even major in that. Like,
Oh,
they were literally telling me you cannot, because I wanted to be an education major, and USF's education program was really good. They had a 4+1, which means I could have graduated in 5 years with my master's degree and my bachelor and my associate, that is extremely good. I couldn't do that because they were like, after 4 years, your scholarship is up and you have to go into the Army. And I was like, wow. So I couldn't major in what I wanted to major in. I ended up, the first time I was a business major, hated it. Then I ended up, the closest thing I could get to an education major was a history major. And I mean, I'm thankful for the friends that I've made, but there was just so many days where I stayed in my dorm and literally just cried. Literally cried. And then that's when like my anxiety started getting bad, like my panic attacks were bad. When I tell you, like, I'm not even exaggerating, like, I knew I should have slowed down and not even gone. I had a panic attack getting ready for church because I couldn't find anything to wear.
while
Like,
you were in California?
yes.
Oh,
Like, I literally started like shaking and panicking. I had to drop to the floor and I was like hyperventilating because I couldn't find anything to wear. And I was like, bro, I should not be here. Like, I know for a fact, like, I should not be here. So like, I would just tell myself to slow down. And then the second piece of advice, it most definitely goes with the first, is be open to forgive. Because there was a situation that happened my senior year that made me want to get out of Kentucky. But I feel like if I would have just been open to forgive, things could have been easier, and then I could have been able to slow down. But because I was so like hard-hearted and I hated everybody and everything, and I wasn't able to forgive for myself, it caused me to speed up everything else and to get out of Kentucky so fast. And then when I finally got a chance to breathe, all of my decisions just plopped on top of me. And I felt like the weight of the world was on my entire chest. So I would just say, Dee Dee, 18-year-old little Dee Dee, be forgiving. Just be open to forgive, because that could have, you could have avoided, first of all, you could have avoided heartbreak from a person who shall not be named. You
right.
could have avoided 5 months of just in a dark space. You could have avoided so much. and you could have already been on the path to being a great teacher. I mean, you are going to be a great teacher. But like, you know what I'm saying? That's just my two pieces is slow down, be open to forgive.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now, like we expressed in our first episode, that we are going to do a quote of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Please, Brianna, ma'am.
Oh, you
Hit
want
it.
me to say mine?
Or do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Youngest goes first. Go.
Okay. So mine is actually one that I found senior year of high school because I was going through a lot at that time. So, and it's a Kaylani tweet. I love Kaylani. So she said, "Remain a good person through the storm, and the sun will always be kindest to you upon return." So that just helped me understand because it was something there was there's also something in my life that I'm like always constantly going through that I really don't have much control over. And I was like, I know myself well enough to know like this is not my fault. And
Yeah.
so I can just keep moving on, no matter how much it hurts. Just be a good person because I promise you it's not worth it to turn into the bad person. And
Yeah.
so many blessings will come to you from that. Like life is, I'm not kidding, like every day it's something.
Yeah.
Every day it's something when you're not this old, but this young, like in your 20s, but there's something good in every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that one. It's just Kalani be speaking so much wisdom,
Right.
man. That's why they call her Baylani. No, that's not why they call her Baylani, but
It's because she's pretty.
no, but really,
Yeah.
it's okay. All right. So Dee Dee's quote that I never knew like the meaning of like because I'm pretty sure it's a scripture turned quote. And I never knew the meaning of it until like I think it was like 2 years ago. But every single time I hear it, it's different. Like I just hear like it applies to like different situations. And the quote is the power of life and death resides in the tongue. And right now, for me, I feel like that goes with manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't, there's like, I feel like there's different levels to manifestation if you really think about it. But like sometimes, like the more you speak something, like people say, speak it into existence, that is actually true. Like the more you say something, it's going to happen, regardless of if you mean it or not, it's going to happen. Like what happened? Senior year, I always used to say, man, I'm depressed. And then when I went to college for those 5 months, boom, because I manifested that. And so right now, like there's this YouTuber that I watch. Her name is Raimi Reyes, and she has like a self-confidence segment in which she basically like teaches you like how to love yourself and be in love with yourself without like other people's opinions being on you. And she was like sometimes like when you start your confidence is not high and
Mm-hmm.
you have to just look in the mirror and tell yourself every day you are a pretty bitch or you are gorgeous or like she was like just always speak well about yourself and eventually you'll believe it and
Yeah.
it'll come to pass. She said regardless of if you actually feel that way, make sure like she said go into a mirror, look and speak well of yourself. She said because sometimes like so many times whenever you look into a mirror you say oh my god I'm so ugly, you'll start to feel that way and then you'll start to move that way, and when you start to move that way it affects the way that you speak to people, so it affects the way you interact with people, it affects everything in your life. She said but if like you look in the mirror and you say you are pretty or you are gorgeous or you have a sweet spirit, you start to believe that. And I think that really goes with the quote that the power of like life and wait what did I say
Life and death.
is in the tongue, because like you can bring like you can like speak life into dead situations,
Mm-hmm.
and that could make you have a good day. Like if you wake up and be like, bro, today's gonna be a good day. I've noticed that like I did that last week. I was like, bro, today's gonna be such a good day. I had the best day ever. But like there was times when I woke up and I was like, bro, I can just feel like today's gonna be a bad day. It was a terrible ass day. And like sometimes like if you speak ill of a situation before it even starts, it causes that situation to be ill and it damages you emotionally and you die emotionally the more like you start speaking bad about things. But whenever you speak good about things, good things come. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what I think. Like the power of life and death does like it does reside in the tongue because whenever you speak about something over a longer period of time, you do start to manifest that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, I understand. Like, even now, I make sure that when she gets older, I'm holding my baby, that I'm gonna tell her, well, even now I tell her, she can't understand me. I'm like, you're smart, you're pretty, you're beautiful, all these things about her, because I want to make sure that she knows that and she
Yes.
doesn't have to get that validation from anywhere else.
Yes, that is so important.
Yeah. I think it's really important to speak nothing but kindness on your kids.
Yes. Oh, little
Make
stink
sure
bug.
to make sure they have a good life.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
start doing that to stink because I always say her head is big. I don't want her to grow up thinking her head is
It's
big.
hereditary.
I can tell. But yes, do you have anything else, Miss Ma'am?
No, I just think this was such a good episode. Like, I knew it would get deeper, and we just talked about so
Yeah.
much good stuff in this episode.
We hit so many points. I'm proud of us.
Yeah, the
Cause you
very good talking points, Dee.
I stayed up like all night one night trying to figure out what to talk about because I was like, sometimes I'll be saying some really goofy stuff. So let me let me figure it out. I was even on the verge of like asking people, what do you want to hear? I was like, no, that's cheating.
Yeah,
So the fact that I got these by myself, pat on the
yeah.
back, Noena.
I love this episode.
I know. I'm proud of us. I do feel like there was more that I could have said, but girl, the way we talk, it will
It
come
could
out.
go on forever.
It will come out. So we'll just extend that to another episode, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really hope that whoever's listening, that you got something out of what we said. You know what I'm saying? And just thank you so much for listening.
Mhm.
Brianna, do you have anything else to say?
Yes, thank you everybody for listening, and I hope that something we talked about today really resonated with you, and I hope that you take that and apply it to your life.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.